There was a place in every American town where a kid walked in with a pocket of quarters and walked out 2 hours later feeling like the richest person alive. No parents, no rules, no one watching. Just you, that dark room, and an afternoon that belonged completely to you. Over 24,000 of those places existed at their peak, and if you had one, you never truly got over losing it. One push of a glass door and your afternoon completely changed. Outside was bright and ordinary. Inside was a whole different world. The noise hit you first. Buzzers underneath the clatter of a dozen machines all running at once. And buried inside all of that, a kid yelling from the back of the room because something great just happened, and everyone needed to know. Then the dark settled around you like cool water, dim and easy after all that sun. Colors bled through as your eyes adjusted. Red along the far wall, blue from the corner. Yellow pulsing from the machine right beside you. The whole room breathing and glowing like something alive. You were 11, maybe 12, quarters heavy in your front pocket. Nowhere to be, nobody waiting, and something in your chest went completely quiet. Not lonely quiet, the good kind. The kind that settles when you are exactly where you want to be, with the whole afternoon still ahead. That is what people are really missing when they say they miss the arcades, not the games. That feeling, that specific piece of a kid who just found his spot for the afternoon and knew it the second the door closed behind him. And no matter how many hundreds of times you had walked through that door, every single time still felt like the first time all over again. Before anything else, we need to talk about the smell, because the smell was half of the whole experience. Walk into any American arcade in the 1960s or 1970s, and something hits you the instant that door opened. Cigarette smoke drifting lazy through the air, because back then people smoked everywhere, and nobody thought twice. Underneath that, warm machine oil, thick and faintly sweet. Below all of it, something electric and metallic, the smell of a room full of machines all pulling power at the same time. And if the snack counter was close, popcorn, a paper hot dog sleeve going soft from the heat, the cold sugary smell of a soda poured over crushed ice into a wax cup for a dime. That smell does not exist anywhere today. It belonged to a specific kind of room at a specific window in American life. And when those rooms went dark, it went with them. But close your eyes and go back. Not with your thoughts, with your nose. Something moves in your chest that thinking alone never reaches. Your body gets there before your brain does. Because smell skips past everything logical and drops you straight into the feeling underneath all of it. And that feeling was one word: free. Not free in a vague general way. Free the way a kid is free. Your body still carries it even now. To understand what the arcade really meant, you have to feel what a quarter was in 1964. A quarter bought a candy bar at the corner store, 2 phone calls from a payphone, a bus ride across town and back with change to spare. When you had 4 or 5 together in your pocket, that was real money worth protecting. So you never rushed. You watched first. You found the kid who was good, the one still running on the same coin after 20 minutes while everyone around him burned through 3, and you stood behind him and studied everything. When he stayed patient and when he went all in. You built a picture of that machine just from watching before your hands ever touched it. And when your turn came, when you dropped your coin in and felt the machine wake up under your palms, you were ready. You lasted 45 seconds. You stepped back, found the moment everything went wrong, looked at the coin still in your pocket and made a real decision. Try again or move on. By 1981, Americans were spending $5 billion a year in arcade machines, in quarters, from kids who saved that money carefully. Every coin went in gladly because what came back was not just a score. What came back was the feeling of getting better, of lasting longer today than yesterday. Nobody called that a lesson. It was just Tuesday after school. And the afternoon you finally cracked that machine wide open after weeks of coming back, you rode home feeling 10 feet tall, no explanation needed. You already knew why. Before video games changed everything, the arcade ran on pinball. Pinball was a relationship built slowly, quarter by quarter, week after week. Every machine had its own personality in ways that mattered every single time you played. This one drifted left on the return, barely, just enough to punish you if you forgot. That one had a dead spot near the top bumper that swallowed your ball before you knew what happened. The beaten up one in the back corner with the cracked panel the owner never fixed. That one played better than everything else once you mapped its edges. Earning that knowledge cost quarters, which meant coming back, which meant the arcade became a fixed point in your week, the one thing on your schedule you had chosen completely for yourself. And the artwork on those old machines, hand-painted onto the sides and the back glass in colors almost too vivid to look at. Cowboys, rocket ships, open roads heading somewhere better. Those paintings were not decorations. They were doors. And every time you put your hands on those controls, some quiet part of you believed they opened somewhere real. New York City banned pinball from 1942 all the way to 1976. 34 years. Officials called it gambling. Kids played anyway. When people keep doing something for 34 years of being told to stop, that thing fills a need nothing else fills the same way. Those machines were not just entertainment, they were a whole world, and you had earned the right to live inside one. When someone got on a real run, people came over. No announcement, no signal, just a slow, quiet drift of kids leaving their own machines and moving toward wherever the long run was happening. One person noticed, then two more, until there was a loose half circle of people standing in the dim light, watching every move without a sound. And when the run ended, when the last life drained and the machine went quiet, they clapped. Real applause from real people who had watched it happen and wanted the player to know it had been seen, that somebody was there, that it counted. That was people being genuinely human with each other. By 1982, Americans were spending over $20 billion a year in arcades. More than movies, more than every professional sport combined. And the money was never the point. The money just showed how many people needed what those rooms quietly gave. Somewhere real to be, somewhere alive, somewhere with other people who cared about the same things, even when none of you ever said it out loud. You made friends there without planning to. The kid always at the corner machine on Saturday mornings. You only needed their game, never even needed their names. Knowing someone's game in a room like that was its own complete kind of bond. It was more than enough. Every arcade afternoon ended the same way. Your hand went into your pocket and found nothing. You patted everything down one more time just to be sure. Every quarter was gone. The afternoon had taken them all. You pushed back out through the door into the ordinary world. Got on your bike. Started the ride home slowly because there was no rush. And here is the part that catches people off guard. The ride home was good, not sad, not empty. Good, because you were tired in that honest way that only comes from spending a few hours concentrating hard on something you genuinely cared about. You were already replaying the afternoon. That one great run, the moment something finally clicked. What you would try differently next time. The houses drifted past slow. You were in no hurry. You had spent every quarter, played as hard as you knew how, been somewhere loud and alive surrounded by people who were in it right alongside you. And you were going home with nothing in your pocket and not one single regret about any of it. That satisfaction, that quiet fullness at the end of an afternoon spent entirely on your own terms, is one of those things that slips out of a life so slowly you never notice until you reach for it and find it simply is not there. Most people spend years quietly looking for afternoons that feel exactly like that. You already know what you are searching for. The arcades did not disappear all at once. They just faded, quietly. One machine unplugged, one storefront going dark, something practical moving into the space where the noise used to be, a fast food chain, a phone store, brown paper taped to the inside of the glass with a number to call about the lease. From over 24,000 arcades at their peak, the number fell below 3,000 by the mid-1990s. Today, only a few hundred remain. The home consoles made a sensible argument. Why go out when the game is right here? Why spend quarters when you can own it? And family by family, America said yes, because it made sense, because easier wins. What came home in those boxes was the game. What stayed behind was everything the game needed to truly live. The room, the crowd that formed without being asked, the quarter that cost you something real, the machine you came back to week after week. None of that ships to a front door. It needed the room. and when the room closed, it stopped. You drove past the old spot one afternoon, and something else was there. Something went quiet in you that day that has never fully come back. Step all the way back from it now, past the machines and the quarters and the noise and the lights. Back far enough to see what those rooms were really doing for the people inside them. Kids getting somewhere on their own 2 feet, spending money they had earned, making real choices with real weight behind everyone, learning to lose without falling apart, learning that getting better at anything takes patience and time, and showing up again even after it beats you flat. Nobody designed that. No lesson plan existed for it. The room just made honest space for people to figure things out the hard way together, and everything good followed naturally. At their peak, American arcades employed over 300,000 people and generated more revenue than every professional sport in this country combined. Every dollar came from kids who simply needed somewhere real to be, somewhere alive, somewhere that felt like theirs. They did not know what they had. Nobody ever does with the things that matter most. They just knew that when that door closed behind them and the noise wrapped around them and that smell arrived, something in their chest found a peace it could not find anywhere else. And for a few hours on an ordinary afternoon in an ordinary town, they were free. Completely, quietly, and perfectly free. Those afternoons shaped who you are more than you probably realize. If this felt like home, subscribe. We bring these memories back every single week, and we are always right here waiting.